It's so nice. Hey guys, it might surprise you today to see another ice cream recipe after the fail of my mango ice cream. But this 3-ingredient chocolate ice cream actually turned out really good, and I was surprised at how good it turned out. So I had to share it with you guys. So please keep watching this and I'll show you exactly how I did it. So I'm only making a very small batch for me because everybody else tried my last ice cream and they didn't like it. So I decided just to make a small batch of this, and it actually turned out great. So I'm just using about 120 milliliters of heavy cream, and I'm whipping it by hand because it's such a small amount. It only took a couple of minutes, and I haven't been to the gym in a while, so I could probably do with an arm workout. So yeah, I'm just whipping that by hand, and you basically want to whip it until it has soft peaks. I think I slightly over whipped it a little bit too much, so don't go as far as I did, but whip it until it has some nice soft peaks. So once you finish whipping your cream, you're going to want to add some sweetened condensed milk. So I'm adding 100 grams of sweetened condensed milk, and I'm also adding my cocoa powder. So that's 15 grams of cocoa powder. So this is going to make enough ice cream, maybe one big portion for one person or a slightly smaller portion for 2 people. So just keep that in mind. And if you want to make more, just double up or triple up the recipe. So I'm mixing in the condensed milk and the cocoa powder into the whipped cream, making sure that it's all incorporated. Make sure that you scrape down the sides of your bowl so that you can get everything nicely mixed in. So as you can see, I'm just taking my time just to make sure that everything's nicely incorporated. I've now got a little plastic container which is big enough for the amount of ice cream that I've made, and I'm just basically going to use a spatula just to make sure that I scrape down all the sides and get all the ice cream out basically into the container. So as you can see guys, the texture is really like light and fluffy. I guess that's because of how we've whipped the cream, and yeah, I could tell that it was a much better consistency than the ice cream that I previously made, and that it was going to turn out a lot creamier and a lot softer. And yeah, I kind of knew at this point that it was going to be a win, so definitely happy. Just making sure that I scrape all of that lovely ice cream out. Don't want to waste a drop because as you can see, I've made quite a small amount. To be honest, I quite like that I made not too much because it's kind of like almost made it taste nicer because I didn't have that much. And yeah, I guess it's better to be left wanting more, isn't it? So yeah, I would definitely recommend making a smaller batch of your own personal ice cream. So now I'm just smoothing it out in the container, just trying to make sure that it's all one level so that it doesn't come out bumpy. So I'm just using the spatula to smooth out the edges and make sure that it's nice and flat on the top. And I'm also just scraping the spatula again. Don't want to waste any of the ice cream. And at this point, I think I got a little bit carried away. Like I was trying to make a nice sort of like swirly design. I've seen some people do that in their videos, and I thought that I would copy them, but it didn't quite turn out. So I think in the end, I just gave up and I just moved it all down, and yeah, ready to go, ready to stick the lid on and put it in the freezer. But before we do that, you're going to want to cover it with some cling film. So I think this is just to make sure that it doesn't, you don't get any air bubbles on the top of it. So I'm just covering it with some cling film, and you want to pat the cling film down so that it's right at the top of the surface of the ice cream. And then you're going to stick the lid on and put it in the freezer. So I think you can just freeze this overnight, but a minimum of 6 hours, I think it needs to go in the freezer. But yeah, overnight is the easiest. So this is what my ice cream looks like the next day. I'm just taking it out, and I gave it about 15 to 20 minutes at room temperature just to soften, because I didn't want it to be rock hard. So yeah, I let it out for about 15 to 20 minutes to get nice and soft. And I just grabbed myself a bowl and my ice cream scooper. Make sure that you wet your ice cream scooper in some hot water, because that will make it easier to basically release the ice cream out of the scooper. Yeah, that's really what I would do. And yeah, as you can see, it's just scooping really nicely, nice and smoothly. It's not brittle like the last ice cream that I made, and I think that's definitely because of the whipped cream. And yeah, it was just a really nice sort of smooth, velvety kind of texture. As you can see, I'm scooping myself up a nice big bowl. I made this ice cream for me, so yeah, I'm gonna eat it all, and yeah, dishing myself up as much as possible. I'm curious to see if this recipe would work with sort of like different things. So instead of using the cocoa powder, I might swap that out for maybe different fruits or different sort of flavorings, because I think this 3-ingredient method will work quite well. I think the key is definitely whipping the cream, so that it's as light and fluffy as possible, and I think that's what gives it this nice kind of almost moussey texture, which is how I like my ice cream. But yeah, I will definitely try this out with some different variations, and I'll show you guys how I get on. Right guys, so this is what it looks like. I've tried it, and to be honest, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like, the texture is really light and fluffy. And it's really chocolatey and smooth, and it's not like the last one I made at all. So this is a much better recipe, and I would definitely recommend it. Right guys, so that's a wrap on the chocolate ice cream. Do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like I said, I think this is definitely a win. It's so light and fluffy, and the texture is just completely right. So I will definitely try this again. Let me know what you think, and if you try it out, how you find it.